The frozen winds of Nivintha howled through the towering ice spires of the capital city. Everything on the planet was cold: its land, its people, and especially its queen. Queen Zarella of the Critheri sat on a throne carved from pure frost stone. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes like frozen glass, and her touch could chill steel. She was known across the galaxy as the Ice Queen. She ruled with silence and order. Critheri were not like humans. They had no warmth, no laughter, and no love. They did not hug or shake hands. They believed emotions made beings weak. For centuries, they lived like this, never changing, always cold. But one day, something unusual happened. A human ship landed on Nivintha. Inside was Elias Trent, an Earthborn engineer with messy brown hair, a crooked smile, and a thermal jacket that never seemed warm enough. He had been sent by the Galactic Alliance to repair the old power core under the royal palace. The Critheri accepted, but only because their palace lights were flickering and their systems were failing. Zarella had no interest in humans. She had heard they were loud, emotional, and overly warm, both in skin and in spirit. She found them strange. But duty demanded she meet the human once. Elias entered the throne room with 2 Critheri guards behind him. He looked around at the frozen walls, the ice sculptures, and the silent nobles. Everything was blue, silver, and still. Then his eyes met hers. Zarella stared at him with a blank face. "You are the human engineer?" Elias gave a small smile. "That's me, Elias Trent." "Cold place you got here." The nobles gasped. Jokes were not allowed in royal halls. But Zarella only blinked. "Cold is strength," she said. Elias shrugged. "Maybe, but I prefer warmth. Makes the fingers work better." Zarella studied him. His body gave off heat. His eyes were full of light. He was not like her people. Was alive in a different way. And yet, he did not seem afraid of her. "You will be escorted to the lower levels," she said. "Fix the core. Do not disturb the order." Elias nodded. "Got it. But if I slip and fall on the ice, don't blame me." As he walked out, Zarella watched him go. His footprints steamed on the floor before they froze. Something about him felt not odd-warm. In the days that followed, Elias worked deep beneath the palace, in the ancient engine chambers. The machines were old, covered in frost and humming with unstable energy. Elias wore thick gloves and breathed clouds with every word, but he kept whistling to himself while he worked. He greeted every Critheri he saw with a wave or a smile. Most of them ignored him. But one young servant named Selene started talking to him in secret. She was curious, like a snowflake landing on fire. "Why do you smile all the time?" Selene asked. Elias laughed. "'Cause it makes the day a little easier, that is." "Strange," she said, tilting her head. "Maybe, but strange ain't. Always bad." Word of Elias's behavior reached Queen Zarella. She sat on her icy throne, fingers resting on the arms, listening to reports, the human jokes. "He sings. He shares food," said a noble. "It's disturbing." Zarella closed her eyes. "Let him work. When the core is fixed, he will leave." But later that evening, she went to the control room and watched through the glass as Elias adjusted wires and tapped on a datapad. He looked tired, but he was humming a slow tune to himself. He paused, then held his gloved hands over a frozen panel, trying to warm it. His touch, gentle, patient, made her stomach twist in a strange way. Zarella turned away quickly. She was a queen. She had no time for feelings. On the 5th day, something went wrong. The main energy conduit in the west chamber sparked and burst. The floor trembled. Ice fell from the ceiling. Elias ran toward the control panels, trying to shut down. The overload. Alarms rang. Smoke hissed. Then he slipped. He fell forward and reached out his hand. Grabbed someone else's. It was Queen Zarella. She had rushed down when she heard the alert. Elias had landed at her feet. His bare hand, his glove, had torn, gripping hers. In that 1 second, something happened. Her eyes widened. Her body froze, but not in the usual way. She felt warmth and not just heat, but something soft, steady, alive. Her hand didn't burn. It didn't frost over. It simply ting. Led Elias blinked. "Oh, sorry, Your Majesty. Didn't mean to grab you." She didn't answer right away. She looked at her hand. Still tingled, even after he let go. "You are ... very warm," she whispered. He smiled sheepishly. "Well, I'm human. It's kind of our thing." She stared at him. The alarms had stopped. The danger was over. But something inside her had cracked. That night, Zarella couldn't sleep. She sat in her private chamber, staring at her hand. It still felt strange, like it had touched something more than skin. A small flame flickered in her mind, a feeling she couldn't name. She looked out over her icy kingdom. The stars twinkled. Above the frost-covered towers, her people slept silently. Order remained. But inside her chest, disorder had begun. And it all started with one warm touch. The palace halls of Nivintha were quiet, but the silence felt different now. Since the accident in the West Chamber, the air had changed. Queen Zarella could feel it, even if she didn't understand it. She stood near her frost window, staring at the endless fields of snow. Her hand, the one that had touched the human, was still tingling faintly. She had washed it 3 times in freezing water, but the feeling didn't go away. She didn't like it. She also didn't hate it. Elias Trent, the human engineer, was back. At work, the damage had been repaired, and the energy flow was stable again. Krithri officials wanted him to leave soon, but the Queen allowed him to stay another week to make sure the systems held. Truth was, she wanted to watch him more. From a distance, she visited the control room secretly. From the glass corridor above, she saw him moving between machines, wiping sweat from his brow. No Krithri ever sweated, he laughed with Solanne. That servant girl and gave her something, a sweet red fruit from Earth. Solanne bit into it and smiled. "It's warm inside," she said. "Best things usually are," Elias answered. Zarella felt something twist inside her again. That evening, Elias was called to the central throne hall again. He stood before Zarella, who sat high above on her froststone throne. Her face was calm, unreadable, but her fingers gripped the throne arms tightly. "You fixed the core," she said. "Yes, ma'am," Elias replied. "She's running smoother than ever." Zarella tilted her head. "Why did you give my servant fruit?" He blinked. "It's just food. It's normal for us to share. Our kind does not share." "I know, but sometimes sharing makes others feel ... connected." Zarella paused. "Connected? Explain." Elias scratched the back of his neck. "It's like you give someone something small, but it means more than the object. It's not about the fruit. It's about the kindness behind it." "Kindness." She repeated slowly. "Yes. Warmth of the heart." The words hung in the cold air. Zarella stood up. The hall fell quiet. She walked down the steps slowly, each footstep echoing. She stopped in front of him. "You confuse me, human," she said softly. "I get that a lot," he replied with a half smile. She stared at his face. It was not beautiful by Krithri standards. His skin was pink, not smooth. His eyes were tired but alive. But there was something about him, something that pulled at her. "Your people feel too much," she said. "We call it living," Zarella said nothing more. She turned and walked away. But that night, she didn't sleep again. The next morning, Solanne found Elias eating his breakfast alone in the servant hall. She sat beside him quietly. "She watches you," Solanne said. Elias looked up. "The Queen?" Solanne nodded. "She does not watch anyone, but she watches you." Elias smiled. "Maybe she's curious," Solanne frowned. "Be careful. Krithri hearts are frozen for a reason. If they crack, they can shatter." Elias nodded slowly. "I'll be careful. But maybe she doesn't need to stay frozen forever." Later that day, Elias was walking near the royal ice gardens. The crystals shined under a pale sun. Zarella stood alone near a frozen tree, her cloak moving with the wind. She turned when she heard him. "You enjoy walking alone?" she asked. "Sometimes," Elias said.
"Oh."
but walking with company is better. She nodded slowly. Do humans walk with each other often? All the time. Zarella touched a crystal leaf with her pale fingers. We walk alone, always. It keeps us focused. Maybe that's why so many of your people look sad. She looked at him sharply. We are not sad. We are ... cold. Cold doesn't have to mean empty. Zarella didn't answer. They walked together. In silence for several minutes, then she stopped beside a frozen fountain. The water beneath the ice was still. Why did you grab my hand that day? She asked. I slipped, Elias said honestly. Didn't mean to, but it felt ... strange. Strange good or strange bad? I don't know yet, she turned. To face him. Why are your hands so warm, human? Elias looked at her and smiled gently. Because we hold on to things, even when they're cold. For the first time in her life, Zarella didn't know what to say. Back inside the palace, the Crithri Council was watching. Hi, Advisor Kareth. An old and proud Crithri called a secret meeting. The queen is changing, he said. She speaks. To the human, she walks with him. She touched him. The nobles whispered. This is dangerous, Kareth said. If the queen warms, the people will follow. We will lose our order. We must act. What do you suggest? Must remove the human. Quietly. The next evening, Elias was in his quarters, checking his tools. A knock came. It was Selene. They're planning something, she said quickly. You're in danger. Elias frowned. From who? The council. They want you gone. He sighed. Guess I've overstayed my welcome. You should leave, Selene. Whispered, before it's too late. Elias looked out the frost-covered window. Maybe I should, but I don't think I want to. At the same time, Zarella sat alone in her chamber, staring at the fire in her crystal lamp. She never liked fire before. It was wild and messy. But now, she felt drawn to it. She touched her chest. Her heart felt ... warm. A very faint heat pulsed inside her. She closed her eyes and remembered. The human's voice. We hold on to things, even when they're cold. That night, for the first time in Crithri history, the Ice Queen had a dream. It was not of frozen fields or cold skies. It was of a hand reaching out. A warm hand. One she wanted to hold. The next morning, the frost-covered palace looked the same as always. But inside the queen's heart, something had changed. Queen Zarella stood by her frost mirror, her reflection looking back with confusion. Her pale blue skin had not changed, but her chest felt warmer than it should. Her hands still remembered the heat from the human's touch. His words echoed in her mind. We hold on to things, even when they're cold. It was wrong. Crithri did not feel. Crithri did not dream. But last night, she had dreamed of warmth, of a fire, of his hand. That had never happened before. Meanwhile, Elias Trent was preparing to leave. His repairs to the palace were complete, and his ship was ready. But something made him hesitate. He walked slowly through the palace halls, stopping near the ice gardens, hoping for one last meeting with the queen instead. He found Selene waiting. You should leave now, she said quietly. Elias sighed. You already told me that. It's not just words now. The council plans to arrest you. They fear the queen is changing. They blame you. Elias rubbed his face. I never meant to cause trouble. You didn't, Selene said. You brought light into a place that was always dark. But Crithri do not understand light. Elias looked up toward the tall towers. What about the queen? Selene hesitated. I think she understands now. But it scares her. High above, in the council chamber, the nobles gathered. Advisor Kareth stepped forward with a cold smile. The human has touched our queen, he said. Touched her mind, her thoughts, her heart. If we let this continue, our kind will melt. Some whispered in fear. Others nodded in agreement. We must act now, Kareth said, before she becomes something ... other. The plan was simple. Arrest Elias quietly and send him off-world. Make it look like a diplomatic choice. The queen would not resist. She was too proud to admit weakness. But they were wrong. That evening, as Elias walked back to his ship, Two Krithri guards stopped him. You are being recalled by the Galactic Alliance. Elias frowned. That's news to me. Your presence is no longer needed, a second guard added. They moved to take his tools and escort him out. But a new voice echoed through the icy hallway. Let him go. The guards froze. Queen Zarella stepped out of the shadows. We're sharp. But her voice held emotion a soft edge that had never been there before. This human is under my protection, she said. The guards looked confused. Your Majesty, the Council does not speak for me, Zarella said. I do not fear change. Not anymore. Elias stared at her. You don't? She walked closer. No, I feel ... Something new, and I will not hide it. Night, Zarella summoned Elias to her private garden. The two stood beneath glowing blue crystal trees. Snow fell softly around them. I dreamed again, she said. Elias looked at her, surprised. About what? Your hand and fire, and the way it felt to be held. Elias smiled gently. You're feeling something. That's good, Zarella touched her chest. It burns here sometimes. Is that what humans call emotion? Maybe, he said. Or maybe it's something more. A connection. She looked down. I don't understand it. You don't have to. Just let it grow. Zarella reached out. Slowly, carefully. She touched his hand. This time, there was no fear, no flinch, only warmth. For the first time, she smiled, but peace did not last. In the early morning, a loud blast shook the palace. An explosion from beneath the throne room. Cracks spread across the froststone walls. Crystals fell. Guards shouted Zarella. Rush to the command chamber. Report, she ordered. Explosion near the old power core, shouted a guard. Sabotage. Unknown rebels beneath the palace. Elias ran in beside her. Let me help. I know those systems. Zarella nodded without hesitation. Go. I trust you. They both rushed down into the lower levels, following the smoke and broken ice. Along the way, they found Selene, bleeding and scared. They attacked us, she said. But ... not all of them are enemies. Some of us want change. We believe in the Queen. We believe in you human. Elias helped her stand. We'll fix this. Together. In the lowest chamber, the power core pulsed wildly. Sparks flew. Ice beams fell from the ceiling. Zarella and Elias entered, side by side. One of the rebels of Krithri named Varnith stood. In front of the core with a weapon in his hand, change is weakness, he shouted. The Queen must stay cold, cannot become like them. She is already changing, Elias said calmly. And she's stronger for it. Zarella stepped forward. You fear warmth, but I've felt it. And it didn't break me, it woke me up. Varnith fired. The shot hit a pipe. Steam burst out, and the ceiling shook. A massive crystal beam cracked and fell. Zarella shoved Elias out of the way. The ice crushed the floor. Both of them tumbled into the deepest leveler. Dark crystal cavern hidden beneath the palace. Elias groaned. Zarella, are you okay? She coughed. I'm alive. She sat up slowly. They were trapped. The only light came from glowing moss and crystals. Zarella touched. Her leg was cut. For the first time in her life, blue blood trickled down her skin. Hitting, she whispered. Elias sat beside her and pulled off his jacket. Let me help. She didn't stop him. She didn't care that it was improper. She only felt ... vulnerable. As he wrapped her wound, their eyes met. This ... feeling, she said quietly. It hurts. But it also feels ... right. That's emotion, Elias said. It can hurt. But it also makes you feel alive. Zarella's hands were cold, but she placed one on his. I don't want to be empty anymore. You're not, Elias whispered. Not anymore. Hours passed. The cold grew worse. Their comes were dead. No one could hear them. Zarella began to shiver. Her species was not made for warmth or deep cold. She was weakening. Elias pulled her close, wrapping his arms around her. She rested her head on his chest. "You're so warm," she whispered. "Stay with me," he said. She closed her eyes, and for the first time in thousands of years, a Critheri. Queen cried. Her tear fell on the icy floor, where it landed. The ice melted. A soft crackling sound echoed through the cavern. The crystal wall behind them began to glow. Zarella opened her eyes. "What's that?" Elias looked. "Some kind of hidden passage?" The warmth of her emotion had activated something ancient. Secret tunnel lit up leading upward. Zarella stood, her legs shaking. "We go together," he nodded. "Always." The hidden tunnel was warm, glowing faintly with soft orange light. It felt alive. The walls pulsed like they breathed. Elias helped Zarella walk slowly. Her legs still hurt from the fall. After what seemed like hours, the tunnel opened into a vast cavern. Hot steam rose from underground vents. The air smelled of minerals and fresh water. Zarella looked around in wonder. "This place? It is warm," she said softly. Elias smiled. "This is the heart of the planet, a geothermal core. Why the palace stayed cold above, kept the heat trapped." Zarella touched her chest. The warmth inside her felt stronger now. Her icy skin glowed faintly. She had changed, and the change was not just inside. It was part of her body. Back on the surface, Critheri Council had declared Elias a traitor. Guards searched every corner of the palace, but Zarella was missing. No one knew where she had gone. In the quiet rebellion beneath the palace, Salone gathered Critheri, who believed in change. They whispered about the queen's strange behavior, her secret meetings with the human, and the explosion that shattered old order. "We cannot live frozen forever," Salone said to the small group. "The queen feels warmth. That means hope." Meanwhile, in the cavern, Zarella sat by a hot spring, dipping her fingers into the steaming water. Elias sat beside her. "Tell me about your people," he said. "Why do you hide your feelings?" Zarella thought for a moment. "Our blood freezes if we feel too much. Pain, joy, love, these things hurt us. So we became cold. We built walls around ourselves like ice," Elias said gently. "Yes, ice walls, but sometimes the walls crack." She looked at him. "You showed me something no one has ever shown. Warmth," Elias smiled. "I didn't mean to, but I'm glad I did." Days passed. Zarella's strength returned. Her body was no longer brittle. It was a mix of frost and flame. Her hand, once cold as steel, now radiated gentle heat. This new power surprised her. Elias helped her learn to control it. Together they repaired broken machines in the underground caves. The geothermal energy began flowing freely, ready to power the entire palace once more. Zarella's eyes shone with determination. One evening, Selene and her rebels sneaked into the palace's central hall. They called the people to gather. "Critheri," Selene shouted, "the queen is alive. She has seen the warmth of life. We can change. We can feel. We can be strong and alive." The crowd murmured. Some were afraid, others curious. Suddenly Zarella appeared, glowing softly. She raised her hand, showing the faint heat in her palm. "Change is not weakness," she said. "It is power. I am your queen, warmed by human kindness. We will build a new future together." Gasps and cheers filled the hall, but the council was not done. Advisor Kareth stormed into the hall with guards. "You betray our people, Zarella. This madness will destroy us." Zarella met his angry eyes. "No, it will save us. I am not the same queen you knew. I am stronger because I have felt warmth. I will protect my people, my people." Guards looked uncertain. Some dropped their weapons. Kareth's face twisted with rage. "Then you leave me no choice." Before he could act, a powerful hum filled the hall. The palace lights flared. Crystals glowed brighter. Geothermal power was back online, stronger than ever. Zarella smiled. "The planet itself supports. Change, we are alive." The conflict ended with the council's power broken. Zarella's rebels became leaders. Together, they rebuilt Krithri society, warming their homes, embracing emotions, and opening their hearts. One quiet night, Elias packed his things to leave. He had repaired the palace, helped the queen, and sparked a revolution. Now it was time to return home. Zarella found him near the ship, her glowing hand reaching for his. "Stay," she said simply. Elias looked surprised. "Here, with your people." "Yes," she smiled. "Teach us more about being human." "Teach me." He took her hand. It was warm, strong, and real. Together, they looked up at the stars. The Ice Queen had melted, and the galaxy watched a new dawn rise. The morning light glimmered softly on the frost-covered towers of Nivintha, but the palace was no longer cold as before. Warmth filled the halls, not just from the geothermal core beneath, but from a new feeling spreading through the hearts of the Krithri people. Queen Zarella stood on her balcony, looking out at her kingdom. Her skin glowed faintly with the warmth of life. Her eyes, once sharp and icy, now held a soft light hope and kindness, mixed in a way no Krithri had ever seen. Beside her stood Elias Trent, the human who had changed everything. Inside the grand hall, the people gathered. They were no longer stiff and silent. They spoke in soft voices, smiled at each other, and touched gently a sign of the new era. Zarella raised her hand. It was warm to the touch, a symbol of the queen who had melted. The ice inside her and opened her heart. "My people," she began, her voice steady but full of emotion. "For centuries, we lived as frozen shadows of ourselves. We believed cold was strength, but true strength comes from warmth, kindness, love, and connection." A cheer rose from the crowd. Some wiped tears from their eyes. Others held hands for the first time. Elias watched with pride. He had seen the queen's journey from cold silence to fiery hope. Days turned into weeks, and the Krithri world transformed. The ice gardens bloomed with flowers warmed by the geothermal core, homes filled with light and laughter. The Krithri learned to live with their new feelings. Zarella and Elias worked side by side, teaching and learning. One afternoon, while walking through the palace gardens, Zarella looked at Elias with a smile. "Your hands are warm," she said softly. "I never want to let go." He took her hand in his. "Then we won't," he replied. But change brought challenges. Not all Krithri accepted the new ways. Some whispered in dark corners, fearing the loss of tradition. One night, a group of dissenters tried to sabotage the power core again. This time, Zarella and Elias were ready. With a quiet command, the palace guards stopped the saboteurs. Zarella spoke to them, not with anger, but with understanding. "Change is difficult," she said, "but it is our future. Together we will face it." The dissenters lowered their heads, moved by her words and the warmth she showed. As peace returned, Elias knew his mission was almost over. The Galactic Alliance had sent a ship to bring him home. He stood with Zarella one last time on the palace balcony. "I came to fix machines," he said, "but I found something more." "Like warmth?" she asked, smiling. "Yes," he replied. "Like warmth, and hope." Zarella's eyes shone. "Stay," she whispered. He hesitated, then nodded. Years passed. The story of the Ice Queen who melted because of a human's warm hand became legend. The Krithri were no longer cold rulers, but a people who embraced life's fire. Elias and Zarella ruled together, guiding their world into a new age, and every time Zarella looked at Ilias's hands, she remembered the moment her heart first melted in, the power that warmth could bring.